Okay, YouTube, now we're at this point where I figured that if you're gonna change your radiator fan, you're gonna break this down into two parts, and I'm gonna break this down into two parts. This video is gonna be part one, removing the side covers and the fairing, and if you go to do it and your bike don't look like it's broken down all the way with the fairing the way you see it here, you're not done. It's whatever you're done on the left side should be done on the right side. Alright, so after you get your bike to look just like this, now we can go into the removing of the radiator so we can give access to the fan. Alright, so I'm going to stop here, and this is going to be part one. Here in Virginia it's 95 degrees with a heat index of about 105. I ain't gonna be out here doing too much out here in this heat. Alright, so we're gonna wind up and conclude this, and we're ready to go with phase two, which was be removing the radiator, well, draining the radiator here, and final draining through this lower hose, and then removing the upper hose. Alright, so until you see the next video, part two, just stand by. Okay, YouTube, this is Max1 Chase 1 again. We're here on part two, and part two is going to consist of draining the radiator and removing the radiator fan on a 1998 Honda ST1100. Let's get started and preparing to take the radiator out of the ST1100 and removing the electrical fan. First thing we want to do, we want to take, since we're up here at the top, we have easy access to the radiator cap. Let's go ahead and take the radiator cap loose. The purpose of taking the radiator cap loose is that when you get ready to drain the radiator, you have some ventilation so it'll help drain a little better. Next thing I want to do is I want to take the drain plug here and loosen it and let it drain into your waste basin you got here. Even though I know my waste basin looks a little dirty, but I'm not going to use this radiator fluid again. I'm going to put brand new coolant in it. Notice that I did turn my drip pan crossways because I want to make sure I catch everything. So here we are. The engine is cold. Begin the drip. I'm going to turn my pan a little cockeyed, so I got a feeling if it shoots out of there, it'll catch it. I'm gonna let that drain for a little bit, and then after that I'm gonna I might leave the plug out, but I'm gonna take this radiator clamp, loosen it, and remove that hose from the bottom and let it finish draining. Okay, YouTube, same thing. Loosen up your radiator clamp just like here. Anybody can do that. You don't need to see no special thing on how to do that. Now, if your radiator hose is sticking to the clamp, take a flat tip screwdriver. Careful how you can stick it in there. And keep it flat. Roll it around on that side. Bring it back and roll it around on this side. And that should break loose where it was sticking here to the lower part of the radiator. Now I'm going to try to pull the hose off the radiator. A little bit of a wiggle. And there it comes off, just like that. And removing the upper radiator hose, same type of clamp as it is on the lower part of the radiator hose. And same thing, just remove that clamp away. Only thing about it is just a little bit of a tight quarter here to try to get something to break the hose away from the radiator. Notice up here you have your fill, your radiator fill point, and where your thermostat is located. So if you want to change your thermostat, this is a good time to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the upper radiator hose just like I removed the lower radiator hose. Here's another standby point. I tried to jump the ball earlier, and I thought I could just take the top bolts out of the radiator, from one on one side, one on the other side, and just lean the radiator hose, the radiator forward. But this is what you got to do. You still got to go and take this upper radiator hose, because this hose is just this short and there's no flex to it. So you got to take the upper radiator hose off. Alright YouTube, going the second route. Problem I'm having is that trying to get this hose to come up, and by the hose being so short, there's not much flex. The top of the inlet part of the radiator goes all the way to here, and I can get a little bit of give, but by the hose being so short, it's not giving me enough to get it all the way off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to revert to taking the top clamp off, and I'm going to try to push the upper part of the radiator coming out of the thermostat, and try to push that down and pull the radiator forward, and we'll go from there. So that's the second route. I've been dealing with this thing for about 10 to 15 minutes trying to get that off, and I don't want to damage the hose, so that's a problem. So revert to the upper one. It looked like it's gonna be a monster to get back on because of this plate right here, but I'll deal with that. Alright YouTube, I'm reverting back. I went back to the lower part of the radiator where the input, the upper part is, and what I found out as I was pushing on the radiator and trying to squeeze the hose the other direction, I saw the ridge part of the radiator was moving across, and I said if I keep a little bit more pressure on it, it'll come off, and that's exactly what it did. And you can kind of see that I do have a lot of loose play in the radiator, and I'm going to show you the reason why I got a little play in the radiator. I tried to cheat again, and what I did earlier, I took the bolts out of the radiator at the top, and there's not enough room, and I took that bolt right out of that area and that area there, and like I said, it wasn't enough room. So right now I've got the radiator is loose, and I can just push that fairing shield off to the right and this one off here to the left, and I can wiggle the radiator out of there and get to the fan. So that wasn't too bad. Some people may say, well, how come you didn't take this side fairing off? Again, like I said in the beginning, I'm trying to do as much of a shortcut that would make it easier for anybody to not have to take unnecessary stuff off and do the job. Alright, so here I am where we are right now. Now after I got the radiator loose, I'm going to try to find the fan switch, not the fan switch, the electric cord that's going to the fan, so I can unplug that. Okay YouTube, I went on the left side of the bike, and what I'm looking for was this wire right here. That wire there is going to the motor, and it comes right on up, goes right up around to here, and it goes into this snap connector right there. So that's an easy. Alright, so that's good and easy, and it's not out the way, and it's not hard to get to. On a Honda Goldwing, they got it all the way down on the other side behind the fan. So I'm glad they put that one up here. Now the other screw that goes, the other wire that goes for the fan switch, that's part of those two wires that you saw here. And then I'm trying to hold a light You see that piece of metal there? It's kind of like a soft metal, so you can kind of bend it and hold it in place. And there's another one there. Well, no, it's not. It was one here. And the fan switch wire goes down, goes around, and comes up to here. Alright, so let me go ahead and disconnect those and we can take the fan out. Alright, so now I've taken the wire away from that clip there. The one right there. Yeah, I'm trying to do it with one hand and point at it. Don't worry about the focus on my finger. Right there. And then also too, with this clip here, you have to have a screwdriver to break that little grip clamp that's holding the wire in place. So you got to wind up and break that little grip that's hanging on there. I push the wire connection down in there, so there it is there. So now I'm going to pull the radiator out, and along with the fan. To give you an idea, just some of the little small things that make a difference when you're at this point where you want to pull the radiator out. Make sure that both of the forks here are facing straight. If it's turned left or either turn right, certain corners of the radiator is going to come in contact with it. This brake line here was coming in contact with the top here, and this is kind of stiff enough that you want to be gentle with the radiator and you want to be gentle with the hose. So just kind of flex it up a little bit so you can get a little play between the holding position behind it and to get it to where it is here. Again, I had to flex some of this stuff away just like that to try to get it to where it is now, and it is really loose. Kind of give you an idea. Let me go around the other side. I can stop right here and exchange the fan and do everything right here. But I'm gonna go ahead and take the radiator completely out because I want to inspect it and make sure I got it in there correctly and it's in there good and tight. So right now we're at this point where we're ready to take the radiator right on out. Let me see if I can do it with one hand while I film it and bring it to me. Again, I'm doing this one-handed. Alright, and there it is. And there's the radiator, the electrical switch, and the fan switch. And then you have a ground wire. Alright, so there we are. All I have to do now is loosen this bolt, take this bolt off, and loosen that bolt off right there. Take the whole fan out, put a whole new set in there, and everything is already complete just like it is because I looked at it in the box. Alright YouTube, that's how you take a radiator and the fan out of a 1998 ST1100. Now I'm not going to film putting it back in because it's got to be in reverse of what I did, and I'm tired of talking. And this humidity in Virginia is kicking my tail. Alright, wish you guys luck. Leave me comments, share. Tell me some shortcuts I could have did, but I hope I don't have to do this again. Thanks again for watching. Okay YouTube, I reinstalled it, put fresh coolant in it. Everything's nice and tight. Everything's plugged up, hooked up. Started the motorcycle, let it warm up, and sat in there, wait for the fan to kick on. And I waited, and I waited, and then on my overflow hose that's back up on the back, it started leaking coolant. So I peeped in to look to see was the fan on. Fan didn't cut on. I said, John Brandon. Alright, so this is what I said. Let me revert to going back to hoping that I could find a conclusion to this. Here's the fuse box. On the fuse box, here's the headlight, the clock, and the fan. The fan is a 10 amp fuse. So I said, please let it be a fuse. Please let it be a fuse. Check the fuse box. Fuse is just as good as it was when it went in there. So I said, John Brandon. So now, I'm in a dilemma now. My next step, before I go to the most dramatic step, and I'm not gonna do it, but I will do this one last step. Since I got the bike in this configuration here now, I will go here and take out the bolt here, and it's one on the other side, and I'm gonna put a new thermostat in it. And if it's not the thermostat after that, I'm ready to put it at the street and say for sale for parts. Because if you ever look at the service manual for this bike, you gotta take the whole John Brandon front part of the engine off. Well, you know, just a cover thing where the timing belt is, and I ain't in the mood to do all that. So it better act right with the thermostat. Could check, it says check to see if you got blockage in the hoses, but I don't think it's blockage in the hoses or none of that. So I'm gonna go with the thermostat, and that's gonna be my last move. Alright, YouTube, so far not so good. June has not been good for me at all. Alright, out here.